everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of the YarnderWoman podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 16th of October 2018. My name is Melinda. I am known as YarnderWoman on Ravelry and Instagram, and I'm coming to you as always from Perth in Western Australia. Yes, Perth, Western Australia, not Perth, Scotland, where the recent Perth Festival of Yarn was. The amount of times I was on Instagram and saw things saying Perth Yarn Festival, and I went, oh, there's a festival coming here. And then I realised it was Perth in Scotland, not Perth in Western Australia. And you'd think that after that happening a couple of times I would stop that, but no, apparently my mind liked to get excited and disappointed every single time. Never mind, there are worse things in the world. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got lots to show you. It has been a little while between episodes, as seems to just be the theme this year, so you know, why stop now? But I've got lots to bring for you. I've brought a lot to show you. We'll go with that. It's quite early. It's about 4:45 in the morning, so I'm getting organised to make sure I can get everything recorded. There's a few things I've got that are presents, so I really want to send those out to the recipients. And we've also got some prizes to announce. But I will put timestamps for all the segments as we go along, so that if there's anything you want to skip past, then feel free. So to let you know what those segments are, let me confer with my notes. You don't confer with my notes. Let me check my notes. So to tell you what all those segments are, we have prizes, finished objects, works in progress, cowl news, new prize draw information, acquisitions, and spinning me right round. So I will put timestamps for all of those below. Watch and choose as you will. For now though, let's go and broach the subject. It's a kitty with yarn. So this is a recent one I got from the brand Erstwilder, who are a designer brooch company in Melbourne on the other side of Australia. And this is one of their older designs. They don't usually redo them, but they recently had like a backlog, you know, ones that they had in storage still, and they released them all. So it was like on there going, so, very happy to get this. Very, very happy. I'm also wearing my yarn pirate t-shirt, so I thought the two went very nicely together. I am going to work today, but I've got an appointment first thing in the morning, so I'm in a non-work attire first, and I thought knitting was rather appropriate. I've also got my lovely my YarnderWoman podcast mug, and my lovely green tea. Can you see it? There, just. And that's really helping me in the morning. Sad news. Not really, but yeah. Lately when I've been having coffee, it's been making me feel really queasy. This is not good. I really like coffee. I really love the taste of coffee. It's sad if we have to have a break from coffee, but that's okay because we have green tea. That's fine. It's all going to be fine, isn't it? Yes, it's going to be fine. So we're now going to announce the prizes for the red along, the make along where you just had to use red yarn or fibre, and also a quarterly draw for the charity knit along, which is a year-long make along that I'm running, where if you make anything for charity, you can enter it and have a chance to win a prize. So as I mentioned at the beginning, there are timestamps below, so if you didn't enter any of those knit alongs and you'd rather just move on to the knitting part, then please feel free to skip ahead. If you did enter though, let's go and see if you're a winner. So the red along is my favourite make along of the year, though they're all lovely. But and next prize was this gorgeous yarn by Daydream Yarns, who sadly has had to take a break from dyeing and has actually closed her shop, but I'm very glad that we were gifted this beautiful yarn. And that one is going to number 27, Maths Cat, who is Catherine from Melbourne, Australia. And Catherine was also doing some chatting about some sock knitting, so yay! And the next winner gets this gorgeous Grinchmas bag by Lola Star Creates. It's got very fun skull and crossbone fabric inside. Lovely, lovely, very well made. And this one goes to number 93, who is Vingirl Michelle from Indiana, USA. And Michelle knit a red chemo cap for charity, so that's lovely. So yay! So there's that. And our final read along winner wins this gorgeous little Japanese fishy bag. Oh, it can be used as a little notions pouch, as well as these beautiful stitch markers that are made with upcycled vintage knitting needles by Needle Soup Creations. And this gorgeous crafty postcard with little numbats, Australian animals, West Australian especially. And the middle one there is knitting. And the winner of this prize is number 87, Iral Knits, who is Nana from Vestfold in Norway. And Nana knitted some red shorty socks, so yay! So, congratulations to all the winners. If you can please get in touch with me, and I will either contact the designers to send the patterns to you, or if you can send me your postal address if you have won a physical prize. And as with all my knit-alongs, if you could please get in touch within 4 weeks of this podcast coming out. I'm sure I'll hear from everyone, but as I always put in the knit-along, you know, T's and C's, I will redraw if I don't hear from people within that time frame. So get in touch and I'll get all your prizes off to you. Thank you to everyone who entered. The read along really makes me so happy because it's just such a joy to me, for me to see all that red. Red really makes me happy, it really does. So thank you to everyone for participating, it was great. And we also have the winner of our charity make-along, and I do a prize draw every quarter also. You know, it's not quite to the date, but here we are. And for this one, I'm going to buy the winner a copy of another Master Ibuki pattern, the one she's just released, which is the Priscilla Toque. Toque being the Canadian word, as I understand it, for what we'd call a beanie here in Australia. And I think other places as well, but it's spelled T-O-Q-U-E, so it's a great word. And Priscilla is Marsha's sister, Scylla, who previously would come on the podcast and occasionally does for little visits. So I think that's really lovely that she's designed a hat for her sister. And without further ado, the winner of that, so from the Charity Cow Prize thread, posts 2 to 210, drawn again with random.org. The winner was 191, Aussie Maria from Sydney in Australia. And Maria knitted a hat that's either going to go to a women's refuge or a homeless charity. So yay, thank you, Maria. And yes, anyone can enter that charity knit along. You just have to make something for a charity, post a photo, let us know which charity it's going to if you know, or if, like Maria, you're thinking one or the other. And that will be open till 31st of December. It's just an ongoing knit along. Prizes are drawn from the whole thread, and it's really lovely. That's quite heartwarming. So even if you're not in a position to make something at the moment, go and have a look at the thread because it's lovely to see all that handwork that's going out to help other people. Okay, finished objects. Now last time I showed you a couple of bunny buddy patterns that I was making and I hadn't yet stuffed the head. I'll quickly show you. The heads are stuffed, only slightly. Can you see there? So yes, they are ready to go. They'll be going off to their new owners. So 1 and 2. Now last time I mentioned that this is actually the 2 that I showed you, and last time, let me just flick their ears back, I made the head completely different sizes when they were going to twins, so I needed them the same. So This one will either be going to charity, or I have a friend who's expecting, and if she lets me know what kind of colours she's interested in, this might go to her depending on what she'd like for her child. So this one is, you know, yet to be determined as to which home he's going to. And last episode I mentioned that I was knitting a second one with that colourway. So this is the Nitpicks Felici, I think it's Hawaiian shirt colourway, in the worsted weight. And last time I mentioned I had started a second one, but then I forgot to show you when we were in the whip section. So here it is, it's finished now. And as you can see, sorry, I keep picking it up and putting it down. There's actually this brown colour in there, which I don't mind, but because of where I started the ball, which was just, you can see that dark blue, I just kept going on the ball when I started the second one. Because of where the brown would have been, it would have been here with this yellow is. I didn't really want a big chunky section of the brown. It just wasn't the look I was going for. So I decided to just pull out the brown altogether on this one. So that's fine. And you may recall on this one, there was 2 shades of pink that I pulled out because that just wasn't the look that would suit the person it's going to, or the family it's going to. But yes, so there we go. We've got many bunnies, and in fact I've got this bunny because I've made another one. I was just going nuts on this pattern because it's such a lovely gift, I feel. Hopefully the recipients do as well. And this one is made with an organic wool, so it's a natural grey, an organic wool. So it's definitely more toothy than the Felici, because Felici is a very soft base, but this is definitely still soft. And I actually blocked this one in hair conditioner, in a nice a low tox. I only use low tox hair products, so a nice low tox hair conditioner, and that softened it up even more. So very cute. This one's nice and very, you know, rustic and natural looking, so I really love that. It sort of reminds me of like, you know, toys from the old days, that sort of thing. So yes, 4 bunnies. I think that's all I need to make at the moment. There's no one else that could use a bunny, so we'll see though, because it's such a lovely pattern. And as I said, this one might go to charity, in which case I might make some more, because they're very quick, very simple, but really effective. So watch this space for more bunnies. So you may have seen on Instagram, I've been having a bit of a hat kick lately. I've been making a lot of hats, and mostly the sock head slouch hat pattern. So this is the first one. This I cast on to knit when I was going to be doing an all-day training course for work, and I just wanted something that was really easy to just, you know, have on my lap while I was learning. So I think I'd already finished the ribbing, so then by the time the course started I could just go round and round and round. I just had the 3mm needles, and I think they're 40 centimetre, so 16 inch maybe. So you can just, in a loop, you're not having to do magic loop or 2 circulars, you just go round and round and round. So I just for some reason really wanted to knit a commercial yarn when I picked this up. I don't know why. I think I like the sound of the paper crackling. So this, after that I haven't brought the yarn over with you. So all the details will be in my Ravelry project pages, and there's always a link to that in the show notes, which can be found at www.YarnderWoman.blogspot.com.au. And there'll always be a link below the video as well, depending on where you're watching it, there'll be a link there. So it's bamboo, wool and nylon. So it's actually, I think it's called Not Just Socks. And then the brand will be linked as well. So I think it was 50% wool, 25 nylon bamboo, maybe, something like that. So I do have some left over, so I might have enough to make some little shorty socks, because I'd like to try the base on socks as well. So when I was knitting along, it would have probably been preferable if I'd continued the ribbing up to there in the white as well, because then all of the colours would be included in the ribbing, but that doesn't really matter. I still really like how it turned out. So it's sort of grey in between the colours, and then it progresses through 5 colours from the white up to the purple. So I think that turned out really nicely. Just the decreases as per the pattern. So sock head slouch hat, very common pattern, as we'll talk about when we talk about our current knit along. And so yeah, that was good fun. Such good fun that I cast on another one straight away. So this one was actually cast on for a work trip, so there's a lot of knitting cast on for work. And I took this sparkly one. This is Nitpicks Stroll, Glimmer, I think that's their shimmery base, and the foxglove colorway. And then here I've actually striped it with this variegated purple. You can see it's very light here and there's darker parts here. That is Nitpicks as well. I think it's the Stroll Tonal. I was going to say it might be Picnic, but I can't remember, sorry. But again, it'll be in my Ravelry project page. And I had just a little bit of that left because I actually used that tonal colorway, variegated one rather. So it's not, can't be Stroll Tonal. Anyway, it's a Nitpicks one. It comes in a skein. It's a variegated purple. I'd used that when I was knitting the Tailor's Oldest Time cowl last year. I did that with stripy yarn on one side and a variegated on the other. So that was all I had left. So I thought this was a good way to use it up. And at first, I think maybe up to here that's just the variegated yarn. But then my original thought was I'll just use all the variegated for the ribbing and then just use the glimmer for the rest. And then I thought it might look weird. It might not have, but I decided to just start alternating between the two. And that way it was up to here, but when I ran out of the variegated, and then I just did the plain there. And I think I really like how it turned out. So it's got, you know, the swirls of the variegations. It looks quite fun. And then it's also good because that way the glimmer, the stellina is starting lower, so it's not like it was just plain and then, oh, that's the description. Oh. So yes, I like how that turned out. This one I did different decreases. On this one I used the decreases that are in the Rubies in My Pocket hat pattern. That's by Sally Cameron, who is Pink Hair Girl Knits, Designs and the podcast. And I think I was just ready to finish. I think by the time I finished knitting on it to the height I wanted, I decided I was just done. And the decreases on that are much quicker than the decreases in the Sock Kid Slouch hat pattern. It also gives it a really nice sort of gathered look. So I thought that was something different as well. You can see this is a bit more gradual, whereas that's quite quick. So yes, I really like that. So as I said, this was for a work trip, and it was when I travelled over to Canberra where my company's head office is. And it was just a one day trip. So I flew the Monday, stayed Monday night, flew back Tuesday night. And so I was only taking carry-on luggage, and it was the first time I was going to try taking metal needles, and I was a bit nervous. You know, I've never had any trouble taking needles on, but I usually take wooden needles. But this time, as I said, I had the circular needle. And I think I did pack another needle in case, or some wooden DPMs, I can't remember. I packed something else in case there was going to be an issue. But it was fine. There was no problem at all, and it was quite funny. As my bag went through, and then, you know, then you go through the metal detector, and then I was waiting for my bag to come out, and I could see the operator stopped and was really looking at my bag. I was like, oh no. And then I saw him turn to his colleague, and he just went, like, did a knitting needle motion. So I called out, yes, it's knitting needles. And they were like, oh, cool, yeah, no worries. So that was great. And I was like, oh, phew, because, you know, I had that momentary, it's just knitting needles, it's fine. Oh, don't take them away. But they didn't, so it was good. And it's funny, as then I was walking away, the scanner's colleague happened to walk with me, and he goes, oh, he wanted to borrow your knitting. And I said, oh, there's plenty in there. And he's like, oh, no, just kidding. I know. But no, it was very sweet and very relieving that the metal needles got through. The next hat was cast on by Luck and Necessity. So a few weeks ago, you might have seen on Instagram, my lovely stepdaughter, the Yonder teen, was in hospital for a couple of days. She had the tiniest little cut on her hand. She was crafting, she makes dolls, and she slipped with like a scalpel knife, and it just, tiny little cut, but what had happened is it had gone into deep into the knuckle and it was infected, so it just blew up to the size of an elephant essentially. So we're in hospital, but the day that, it happened, it actually happened the night I got back from Canberra. I got home and she was, I've got a cut, it really hurts. And I was like, oh, it's tiny, it's fine. But then I get a text from her the next day going, it's really swollen. So I met her at the hospital in the emergency department. And luckily that morning, so I obviously had some sort of subconscious sense. I think maybe was working on this one, but I was close to being finished. Whichever project it was, I was close to being finished. So that morning, because I knit on my commute, I actually had grabbed another ball of yarn because I thought just in case, and just in case paid off because we were there for quite a while. Wonderful hospital staff. We're very lucky it was all covered by Medicare, which is Australia's national health system. Lovely staff, they're very busy, but as you may know, if you've been in that situation, you wait a long time because it wasn't an emergency, which is fine. But yeah, there was a lot of time waiting. So I was very, very, very happy because it was stressful as well. We didn't know what was going to happen. They said she would have to have surgery, which she didn't in the end, luckily. So yeah, I was very glad, very, very, very glad to have this extra yarn. So I cast on another sock head slouch hat at the bottom here, but you can see the top is flat. By the time I was ready to finish this, which wasn't when we were at hospital, it was later, I decided to do the bind off like the Kit Kat hat by Andre Sue, or Andre Sue Knits, and I think it would also be the same as the Pussy Hat pattern, which is where you just do a 3-needle bind off. Now, I've mentioned 3-needle bind offs before, and I said previously that I haven't cut the ends off. I knit them together all the way along and then I go back and bind off. And a couple of people said, oh, that was really unusual. They hadn't heard of doing it that way. They usually knit the two sides together and bind off there. So I did that this time. I don't know that it makes any difference, I guess, like into the result. I suppose it's quicker because you're doing it all at once, but whatever. Either way, both ways work. But yes, and I think I only had a smaller needle, like a 2.25, I think. So I cast it off with a 2.25, so it's nice and tight. And I think I had that smaller needle with me because when I cast on for the hats, any of them, actually for socks as well, I don't know if you can see the hole, the cast on hole there is a bit bigger than the stitches. I always cast on over the needle I'm using plus another needle just to give it that bit of extra room to make it a looser cast on. So yeah, for socks, for hats, anything I guess where you're going to stretch it out and you don't want it to be tight. So this is Nitpicks Felici in the fingering weight, and this colour is called Dark Side, so it's nice muted rainbow with the black. And it worked out really well. I just started at one end of the ball. There was just enough yellow to go all the way around for the cast on. So it's really nice. Of course, if it hadn't been, it would have been fine. But it was just pleasing that there was, just the right amount. And then it just went into the stripes. I just did the 2x2 ribbing until I'd gone through all the colours, then straight up. So that's great. I have this much left. I haven't weighed it yet. I could have kept going, but I was just ready to finish and I thought that looked like a good size, maybe for like a child or teenager size. So yes, very happy with that. Lovely and soft. And then one more, and this one hasn't been blocked yet, so it's a bit floppy. So same thing here. I started with ostensibly the sock head slouch hat, but I guess I just cast on, and then I did the 3-needle bind off as per Kit Kat hat and Pussy hat. For this one, I did 160 stitches. I think the pattern, the sock head slouch, calls for 144, I think. And you may remember a couple of episodes ago, I had knit myself one using some red and black yarn, and it wasn't quite as slouchy as I wanted it around. It was sort of slouchier at the back, but not quite as much around. So I thought I would try a wider one. I haven't tried this on yet because I haven't blocked it, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it because it goes with this brooch. I don't wear pink much, but I thought it would be fun because I was sort of thinking the Pussy hats were pink for when they were being knit for the Washington March. So I did think about it, but I'm not sure. So this will probably go to charity. All of these hats are going to charity. I've just been on a hat kick. They weren't for anyone in particular that I know. So this one will probably go as well. So I did the 1x1 rib on this one just for something different. But it's so much flatter, obviously. I guess it's obvious. So 2x2, you know, looks more squishy because you've got that, I guess, undulation. Whereas the 1x1, it goes flat. So, and also I'm not sure if it's because of that or because there's more stitches, but it's gone all flary at the bottom. So I think that will block out and it'll be fine. But yes, it wasn't as squishy as I hoped, but that's okay because you can still, you know, fold it up and have a double brim, whatever you like with it. So there's that. This I actually used the entire ball. I think there we go. That's all I had left, which was great. I just decided to, just keep knitting till I used it all up. So I've got to block that and it'll be nicer, but very fun. Very happy with those colours. So I'll be entering all of those hats into the Harvest Hat Along that's being run by 2 podcasts. One is Twisted Stitches with the lovely Twee and Kimberly, and the other one is the Kilda Craft Podcast with the lovely Nessa. So I'll put links to both of those in the show notes if you're interested in entering or just going and having a look at some awesome hats. I'm not sure how long it runs for. It's obviously the Harvest Hat Along for autumn or the fall. In the Northern Hemisphere, so the details will all be in the thread and you can have a look there and enter if you have time. And this finished object is just beautiful. It's my Hitchhiker. So it's got 5 colours. You can see grey gradually goes between the 2. You can see between here, and then it's a bit easier to see those colours. Oh, I'm so happy with this. So, the lovely Mars, Hey Brownberry, Hey Brownberry Podcast, sent me the pattern for my birthday, the Hitchhiker by Martina Bem. And the lovely Ty of Daydream Yarns, who donated the prize that I showed earlier, she sent me this beautiful 5 colour gradient for my birthday as well. So, I think I called this 40 Red. On my Ravelry project page for my 40th birthday and all my reds. So yes, very happy with this. The weather's warming up here, so I haven't had a chance to wear it, but I'm sure I will find an occasion. It'll be chilly in the spring and summer evenings, but even so, if it's just for next winter, it'll be there waiting for me. So yes, very happy with that. And again, red makes me so happy. So my first work in progress I had hoped to be much further along in, but you know, life. So I'm knitting the Te Mana Wakuda shawl, and that's by the gorgeous Aroha Knits, who's Frenchie. You may remember in my vlog when I travelled to Japan last year, I luckily was able to meet up with Frenchie. Our schedules worked out well when I was in Osaka. So Frenchie is, you may also have heard of her more broadly. She was in a recent podcast episode with the lovely Kate O'Sullivan, who has the Conversations from Our Days podcast. And Frenchie also was a guest blogger for Kate. And Frenchie explored her own multicultural and multiracial identity and how that influences her crafting and her overall lifestyle choices and finding her identity. So this pattern here was a free one, but it was part of, you have to reach out to Frenchie to join her mailing list to get the pattern, and it was as part of the Muse knit along. So Te Mana Wakuda is the Muse in Maori, so that's a big part of Frenchie's heritage and something she explores a lot in her designs. And Frenchie, as part of Aroha Knits, talks about the fibre muses. In fact, her podcast is called The Fibre Muse. And there's a little quiz you can do, and I'll link to that in the show notes, where you can determine which of the muses you are. So there's Mystic, Giver, I can't remember the other 2, sorry, because I'm a mystic, so that's where I remember that. But this one is sort of an all-encompassing for all the muses sort of thing. So it's really good fun. It's a free quiz. It just, sort of looks at the specific patterns or specific types of knitters that are out there. So it's good fun. And then she has different patterns that would suit, you know, the sorts of things that different knitters would like. So when I saw that this was coming up as a knit along, I was really keen to join because I love supporting Frenchie's work. I think she does beautiful designs. She has so many designs out there. She was actually knitting on a hat design when I met up with her, which is exciting. I think that was the Snowfall hat. I have the pattern, but I haven't yet knitted, so more to come. But yes, when I saw this was coming out, and it's a big, there's another photo here, a better one. Quite a big fingering weight shawl. I like she sort of knotted the end there. I really like that, and it's got beautiful bobbles and lace work. So big fingering weight shawl, and I was looking through my stash and I realized I had this beauty. So that's Madeleine Tosh, Tosh Merino Light, and it's in the Victorian Gothic colorway. That's an appropriate name for me. I love it. I love the color, I love the name. I've had this in my stash for years, probably around 2011. Back then I bought a lot of yarn online. That was sort of when I was really coming into knitting with capital K. The Australian dollar was pretty much equal with the American, so things were much more affordable. There also weren't really any that I was aware of dyes in Australia at that time, so I was getting it all from overseas. But so I have a really nice, very comfortable stash of Madeleine Tosh in the colours I love, which are the Victorian Gothic, Composition Book Grey and the Tart Red. So I'm very, very privileged to have that. I'm very happy about it. So I decided I was going to use that because I've got a really good stash of it. This was already caked up, and then I did have several bits in little balls. So I've been using those, and I can only assume that there are so many little balls because it must, perhaps the skein got tangled. I'm not sure. I have used some of that yarn for a previous project, which was the Sunwalker by Melanie Berg, and that shawl I ended up giving to Hannah Kent, the amazing Australian author, when she was at the Perth Writers Festival a few years ago, and she's actually a knitter, and she mentions knitting in a couple of her books as well. And I actually never got a photo of the shawl. I forgot to take a photo beforehand, and I have a photo of Hannah, but not the shawl, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. Here is where I'm up to on this shawl. So as I mentioned, I had hoped to be further along. The way the knit along has worked, Frenchie's running it in her Facebook group, and it's sort of, you know, part one of the shawl was in week 1. I'm not even sure what week we're up to, possibly 3 or 4, and I haven't even finished part 1 yet. It doesn't matter. But here it is. Doesn't that yarn look beautiful? The colours, just the way that tone's worked up, the darker bits, the lighter bits, oh, makes my heart happy. I really wanted a big black shawl because this year in winter I was wearing this shawl a lot, which is the Shawl. I haven't written who that's by, but again it'll be linked in my Ravelry notes. So this is in the same colourway, Victorian Gothic, but this was in the DK weight. Now you can kind of see, as it's not that noticeable in real life, but you can see there's sort of 2 different colours essentially that's showing up. I had 2 different skeins that were not quite matching. So with the pattern, I'll just hold it back up so it blows out, but you can see what I mean. There's different parts of the pattern, so I just alternated the 2 different skeins. So yeah, in real life, it's a bit hard to see with all the black. It's either going to be blown out or you can't see it at all. In real life, it's not noticeable like that. You know, if you really looked, you can say, oh yeah, I can sort of see there's a tonal difference, but it doesn't matter. So this shawl, I actually reblocked and it grew really huge, so it was shorter when I was wearing it. But I was wearing it like this a lot during the winter because I could just tie it at the back, and it was really nice and squishy and warm. So because I wore the black shawl quite a lot, I thought a big black fingering weight shawl would definitely find a good home in my wardrobe. So it all worked out very nicely. So yes, I'm still working on part 1. I'll keep going. It's all good. You can see lots of ends here, so I've been using up the little bits of balls because I thought I might as well use all those bits up rather than, you know, start on the big cakes and then still have those lying around. It's extra ends, but whatever, it needs to be used at some point, doesn't it? So that's going along nicely. So I will hopefully have more to show you next time on that. I'm keeping it all with all the balls in this fantastic bucket bag made for me by lovely Julia, 9Crafty11. It's very nice because I can shove all of it in there, and the pattern. So there's a lot of info on the pattern, even though it's free. As I said, you do need to sign up to get it, so I won't show the details. But there is like a little checkbox you can use as you go along, which is great. So yes, lovely pattern. Hope to have more time to knit it. So in the Star Wars bag from lovely Mel, do by Mel, I have some leg warmers. This is a free pattern, and I have not written the name of it, so good. It's by Sarah Wilson, who's the sexy knitter. That's the pattern. So it's sort of their lace, quite a nice simple repeat, four row repeat. And of course, being lace, it's a little tricky to see it. Let me see if I can put my hand in. You can see there's holes. It's nice, isn't it? These are a gift for a family member. Again, the weather's warming up, so it's not really coming into leg warmer weather, but it's fine. I think they're going to be used for Pilates, so that might still be relevant, you know, to keep the muscles warm. I'm actually further along on that one than I thought, so that's good. I'll keep going with those. As I said, it's a simple repeat, but I don't like taking it out with me, like when I'm out and about, just because it's lace. So if I had to stop in the middle of something, even though it's a simple lace repeat, I'd rather not have to stop in the middle of it. So if I knit it at home, I can, you know, barring anything unforeseen, I can get to the end of a repeat before I put it down. So those are going really nicely. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. This is beautiful yarn, and this is Nitpicks Hawthorn Fingering in the Ashland Tonal hand painted colourway. The person said they didn't care what colour they were, but and they really like purple, and the ones in the pattern were purple, so I think that's probably why my mind was drawn that way. And I had already skeined this up. I was going to use this for a shawl for Yonder, but then I changed my mind because it's very nice tight spin on this Hawthorn yarn. I thought it would be really good for the leg warmers, something a bit more sturdy. So, but it's not going to take the whole ball, so I'll probably still have lots left. So I might incorporate it in the shawl, we shall see. I'm using this lovely DPM Cosy. That's from Shara of the What Shara Made podcast. So yeah, I haven't knit on these for a while. Oh, that's right, there's a big hole here. It's not like a dropped stitch. I think I must have dropped a yarn over or something, but I'll just weave that in because it is part of a line of yarn overs here. So it is supposed to be a hole. I've just obviously made it bigger than it needed to be. That's okay, yeah, I'll just stitch it up, make it smaller. That'll be fine. Design feature, you know, it's a gift, but the recipient will not care at all. Nor will they care that I've gone off and the pattern's gone a bit crazy there. No, they won't care. And that's not me being lazy, they really won't care. And I think it still looks good, so you know, whatever. If it looked bad, I would rip it out, but it doesn't. And again, the recipient will not care. So that's those. And I've cast on the second sock of my pair that I was knitting in August, I think. So I cast these on as part of the read along. And then I just put down the second one, or didn't cast on the second one, not because I had second sock syndrome or I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to do something else. So I wasn't avoiding it, I just wasn't in the mood. But I thought I had, I thought I would cast on the second one because I had a conference to go to last week. So I thought it'd be good to just have something running around, and I'd done enough, you know, for 4 hats by then. So I thought, no, I'll do the sock instead. So I'm just in the middle of doing the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is why all the needles are a bit crazy. Which one goes with what? no, that's the back. Those ones aren't being used right now. This is it. So this, as you recall, I am using 2 yarns for the heel. So the main red yarn is One Twisted Tree in the And I Was the Prey colorway. And then I'm also using Berger de France Gumi 50 plain black to go in the heel to reinforce it. So it's very, very thick. And yeah, I really still love the way by having the extra black, it makes it black with red, whereas the main yarn is red with black. So that makes me very happy. So yes, nearly finished the heel, and that means that the rest of the sock will flow quite nicely. It's good commute knitting, round and round and round. And yes, just in time for not needing warm socks. Having said that, I'm wearing woolen socks right now because it is still chilly in the mornings and we've got slate tiling, so you never know. That's in my fabulous Seattle bag that was sent to me by a good friend. You know who you are. And when I've got that, because that sort of covers with the two balls of yarn, when I'm just on the one colour, I've been using this great Halloween one, which is from Stitched by Jessa Lou. The fantastic, yeah, it's Halloween, it's gothic, it's red, black and grey. It's very me. I would love a dress or a skirt made out of this fabric. It's fabulous. I think, does Katie from Inside 923? Katie, do you have a dress made of this fabric? It looks familiar. But yes, I love it. I love it. All the happy things. My next work in progress is a little different. It's crochet. So on the weekend, I went to a crochet class. Now I went to one a couple of years ago with a friend, and at that time we learned how to make granny squares. And I did make my own additional one. I made like a small little square with different colours, and I actually used that as my coaster. But at the time, you know, I learned, you know, enough to make that coaster, but then I didn't practice again and it just sort of didn't stick. So when I saw on Instagram this crochet class, which was held at a place called Crafting at the Coop in Fremantle, which is a big city just south of Perth. I think it's still included in the Perth metro area, but it's sort of a city of its own right. So it's quite far from me, but so it took me an hour and a half, 2 hours on the public transport to get there. But that was okay. I had my sock actually that I was knitting in podcasts. That was all fine. It was run by a lady named Lynn, who's the Yarn Keeper on Instagram. And it turns out she does a lot of classes. She's done knitting for films that were made in Australia. So huge knitting and crochet aficionado and just expert. So she taught us, there were 4 of us in the class. We were just sitting at a little table amongst the shop. They brought us, you know, there's a little cafe attached, so we got a coffee each. There was a cake made by a local cake maker. Lovely, really lovely. It was all, you know, handmade local community. It was great, really enjoyable. And she taught us to make chain stitches and treble stitches, which we then, after we just, you know, went along and practiced, we then started making a granny square. I remember when I did the previous class, I think that lady taught us chain, single, double and treble stitches. And I wonder if that's why it didn't stick, like there was just too much happening. I don't know, because just learning the chain and the treble, which is all you need for the granny square, I think that was really good because you're only learning those 2 things, and then it was just a matter of what you do where and how many you do in each spot. So this is what we've done. So as part of the class, we got a hook. This is a 375. I do have some of my own crochet hooks, some of these aluminium ones, and I've got a couple of nice ergonomic ones that I bought after that previous class. And we got a ball of Rowan cotton each. And I chose a nice lovely grey. And the lady said that she gets people to use cotton because you can't split it as easily with your hook. I'm very special, I can. She said, as opposed to wool or another type of fibre. I do wonder, because cotton's, you know, got no give, because I'm having trouble with tensioning. I have to figure out, like, because you hold the yarn in your left hand, I don't usually have my finger up when I tension with knitting, so I'm finding that kind of, it's like I have you know, the yarn's going vertical and I'm chasing it, I don't know. And it's just not tight enough, I find it. And it's all practice, but I just have to work out what the best way is. So all those crocheters out there, give me a hint. What's the best way to tension your yarn? And am I doing it fine? And it's just a matter of getting used to it. But yes, so big granny square, it's going to be a face washer using the cotton, which I think is a lovely idea. And I'm really happy to have learnt a new skill. And I'm really looking forward to making blankets with it, because I think either for people I know, but also charity blankets, I think that'll be a really good way to do a big substantial project, use up lots of my stash, and have it be a bit quicker than doing a blanket by knitting. Obviously at the moment it's not quicker because I'm still learning, but once I get there, that'll be really good, I think. So yeah, very exciting. And I think having, you know, an item at the end is always nice. I think when you're learning something, so having a nice face washer. I use face washers every day. I wash my face, and instead of using disposable, you know, cotton pads or something like that, I use flannels and face washers. So it'd be nice to have an extra one. It'll be lovely gifts as well. Like I have made people knitted face washers before, so it'd be nice to add something new to the mix there. And then I'd also maybe like to do not just granny square blankets, but perhaps, what's that one? I think it's by, lots of people are making the crochet blanket where you're just going across. And Addict 24, that's the name of the person whose pattern it is. It's a free pattern. But yeah, I'd like to do that. But I think that's with a double crochet. I could do one with a triple crochet. And of course, terminology is different from the US and other parts of the world. So I'm doing what's called a treble crochet on here. I don't know what you'd call it in America, but so you're doing 3 trebles into each one. So yes, that's very exciting, a new skill, and good fun. So I don't know how big I'll make it, probably a few more rounds to just make it, you know, a good size for wiping the cleanser off. So I'll show you when it's done. Okay, our current knit along is the Jump on the Bandwagon cowl or make along. So with this, you choose a really popular pattern that you've thought about making for a while, or even if you've only just decided you might want to make it. It's not like you have to have had it in your queue or anything like that, but you know, a popular pattern that you haven't made that you've thought about making, now's the chance to jump on the bandwagon. So this might fit well with another cowl that's going on, which is the FIFO First In First Out cowl by the lovely Jill of Skein and Able podcast. So for that one, it's using a pattern or yarn from your stash, you know, that you've had for ages or had in your queue for ages, you know, and getting it out of there rather than moving on to the new thing. So could work well. We both encourage double dipping. So if you're entering one and it suits the other, go right ahead. In terms of the prizes, we've got the lovely project bag that Autumn, who's Cottington, friend of the podcast, has made for us. We've got this lovely project bag from the Silver Shed USA. Look at those polka dots and the sock monkeys. So cute. There's the label there. We've got this beautiful bag from Japan. Lovely little notions pouch. It does close up properly, but there's things in there. Another one of those beautiful WA Crafty Podcast, Crafty postcard. Little sheep clips, how cute are they? Also from Japan. Oh, so cute. And we've got an extra prize now, which is a packet of these. Now, they're called different things in different places. So they're from Addy. I believe in North America they're called Flexi Flips. As you can see here, they're Addy Crazy Trio, marketed here in Australia, so I'm not sure what, you know, where else uses that name. So it's essentially like a combination of 2 circulars and DPMs. So you'd have 2 on your needles, sorry, 2 on your project at once, and then using the 3rd. And the middle section here moves, it's the flexi or the crazy. Now, full disclosure, these have been knitted on for about half an hour. They're a 2mm size. I actually bought them to try for myself, but because of my rheumatoid arthritis, they just weren't right for me. So I hope you don't mind, whoever wins, that, you know, used. They're out of the packet for about half an hour. If you are the winner of these and you have similar issues that would preclude you from using that, I don't mean to go into your business, but if you do win them and it's not something that's suitable for you, message me privately and I'll get you another prize, and that's fine. But yes, so I hope everyone doesn't mind that I'd use them. I don't think I would mind if that was the case, but again, if you're the winner and you have an issue, just let me know. So there's those. So that's the extra prize for us. So that make along is going until the end of this month, end of October. So prizes will be drawn at the beginning of November. So come and enter any pattern that you've been wanting to make for a while. So the sock head slouch hat I mentioned earlier, that's definitely one. That's sort of an interesting one that got me on making a hat kick. Something else I might like to make is the jelly roll socks. No, I think that's the other pattern. Rose City Rollers by the same designer. I think Jelly Roll has two little rolly bits at the top. The Jelly Roll are just ones where you make socks without ribbing at the top, so it just rolls down. So I make some of those, but there's great ideas in the thread. Go and have a look. There's a few things I've put in my queue since seeing other people knitting them. So good fun, come and have a look. We've got a prize thread, very, very kindly. I was sent an example of the Mystery Lace Club from the lovely Fiberific, who's over the other side of Australia. This is a monthly club that she does every month. And it's posted out on the 20th of each month, and in it you get a lovely skein of lace weight yarn, a pattern by really well-known designers that's exclusive to the club, all your notions, everything that you need to make that project, but it's a mystery, so you don't know what you're getting till you get it. I was sent one to have a look at and to review. I can definitely say it's a beautiful product. It's really, really good. I've decided to use it as a prize because it's just not in my capacity to do that kind of lace knitting at the moment, and this beauty needs to be knit. So I will insert a photo here. I do have the project, but it's, sorry, not the project, the product, but it's in a room where my partner is sleeping, so I can't go and get it at the moment because it's still so early in the morning. But here is a photo and some footage with all the gorgeous detail. How pretty is that? And so get everything for the project, like the right number of stitch markers that you need, because for lace work you often need a zillion at least stitch markers, so you're covered. So really, really lovely. The prize will be drawn by random number generator, but to make it a bit fun, in the thread, which is linked below and linked in the show notes, I'd like you to answer the prompt. What is something that was previously a mystery to you, and how did you solve it, or how was it solved? So your answer does not, impact who wins. It will be done by random.org, but I thought that would be a bit fun to think about and let me know and let everyone else know. So the thread will be open for at least a couple of weeks until November, and I will draw the prize when I record in early November. So essentially, if the thread is still open, go ahead and enter. Same with any of my knit-alongs, even if, like I think the read-along prize thread was, or not prize thread because it's a one-all, but the read-along thread was open for a few days extra. So, even if it says it closes at the end of a month and it's the beginning of the new month, if it's still open, go for it. That's all fine. So yes, go and have a look, enter to win. There'll also be a link if you just want to join the lace club with Fiberific. There'll be links there how you can do that as well. I think if lace knitting is your bag, then it'll be a really good one for you. So I've been enjoying a lot of fantastic audiobooks lately. A couple of months ago, Audible had a special on where they did a whole lot of books for $8.99, so I stocked up. There are a few that had been on my wish list just coincidentally, so I just went through. And several of them were about running, which was good. But I also read or listened to The Sphere by Michael Crichton. I think they made a movie. I don't think the movie was very good, but I will check it out anyway. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. Just sort of, an undersea mystery. It does make me want to maybe read Jurassic Park. I was never interested in doing that. That's also by Michael Crichton, which is why I'm mentioning it. Because, sort of the visuals of the dinosaurs in the movie was, the fun bit. But based on The Sphere and how he wrote, it was just yeah, good mystery, good, you know, way of phrasing. So I might give it a go. But yes, the other ones I said were about running. So earlier in the year, you may recall, I did a 12K jog. Didn't jog the whole way, but that's okay. But that was a fundraiser to raise funds for Alzheimer's WA, you know, in support of YarnderWoman. And I really enjoyed running. Now, I have got out of the habit because over the winter, I just, you know, didn't get out there. My motivation waxes and wanes. I've talked about how I had quite severe situational depression for several months this year, you know, most of the beginning of the year, while we were working out YarnderMum's situation, leading up to being able to actually get her in a place in a nursing home. Then, you know, we've been emptying a house. Yeah, it's nearly sold, fingers crossed. All that to say, very quickly, I really liked running after that. But all that to say quickly, I wanted to clarify. Last episode, when I talked about my situational depression, I do have generalized depression as well, but this was a more bumped up version. I mentioned that I'd put on 5 kilos of weight in about 6 weeks. At that, you know, over that period. I just wanted to really clarify, I don't think it came across as me saying that's bad and weight is bad and any of that. It was only bad because it was over such a short period and it's bad for my health. So I just really wanted to clarify that, because hopefully everyone knows I'm very much a body positive person, and think that that's something that I hope everyone can feel one day. I had very quickly, over my life, I've been up and down with weight. I was quite an overweight child. I was bullied horrendously. So I did have very much, I'm fat in my head for quite a while. With a lot of therapy, I've worked through that, and a lot of more self-love. And yeah, I'm huge into body positivity and people not being shamed for their size or being told they shouldn't exist, anything like that. As I said, hopefully that comes across anyway, but I really wanted to clarify that when I mentioned it last time, I wasn't saying it was bad for bad sake. It was bad for my health, and I can only speak about me. Bad for my health because where I put the weight on my stomach, you know, that can go around your organs, but more specifically because of my rheumatoid arthritis, additional weight is bad for my joints because it just means more pressure on them. So anyway, just wanted to clarify that and send lots of love to anyone who's having any kind of emotional health issues or mental health issues, particularly when it's about not liking yourself and not liking how you look. Just know I've been there. I've had bulimia in my past as well. So if anyone does want to reach out about anything, but yeah, about that, about anything, about depression, about anxiety, anything at all, just send me a message and I'm always here to talk to you. But back to the audiobooks about running. It's been really cool listening to all these books because it got me really excited and energized about running, and I have started again. So I downloaded an app to help me get back into it. When I was doing my running earlier in the year, I did have an app, but it was just one where, and it's probably me, I couldn't work out how to get the music playing, but it would just be, you know, run, walk, and then there'd just be silence. I didn't quite like it. This one I've got, I think it's, I don't know what it's called, like Zombie Runs or something like that. I'll put a link. So it's a zombie app. So it's kind of a combination of an audiobook and a running manual or running tool. So it's great. It's sort of, you get background story. So I don't think this is going to ruin it. You know, you're going in, the zombie apocalypse has happened, but there's survivors, and I think you're in the army. But you then go into like a survivor community, and you're going to be one of the runners. So, you know, in a zombie apocalypse, there's not going to be unlimited fuel, so there's not vehicles. So in this story, there's a running group that goes out that does, you know, the searches for food and whatnot. So you, if you do the app, you're being trained to run so that you can be part of the running crew. So it's really good. It's like, yeah, as I said, a combo of a story plus training. So I find it very motivating, and it's fun because it's zombies. So the first few, you know, they have you you're training around the camp before you can go out. So it's great. It's, you know, tells you, okay, now run. So it's the doctor of the camp that's, you know, talking you through it. Oh, you're doing so great. Yep, now walk, but don't use your energy. It's great. Really, really fun. I highly recommend it. And I'm loving the running, I really am. But again, I need to find a set time in my schedule to do it. But something I am adding to my schedule on Monday nights is a no lights, no lycra class. I think a few years ago I mentioned I wanted to go to one of these and I just never did and I forgot about it. But then something reminded me recently and I looked it up and I actually went last week and it was so much fun. So the concept behind this is, it's again, I guess a body positivity or just personal positivity. You can just move however you want without having to worry about it. So I will dance in front of everyone. I will dance if I'm the only one on the dance floor. That doesn't bother me. But this is great because what it is, you go into a dance studio, they turn all the lights off. So you're in pitch black. Your eyes do eventually adjust because there's, you know, a dim light to show the emergency exit, you know, safety, things like that. But you're pretty much in the dark. So the music just comes on. It was great, sort of a lot of 90s, early 2000s kind of things like I've Got the Power. I've got the power. Do, 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 do. That one? Yeah. That was the first song, and as cheesy as it sounds, I was like, yes, I do have the power. I have the power to move. So it was great fun. So you just move however you want. You dance. I was doing like half aerobic moves as well. The next day I was so sore, so I just worked full body. It was great fun. I loved it. And yeah, for me to say I love doing some exercise, it shows how good it was. So yes, they're, I think, all over the world. So I'll put the link in. It's usually just nolightsnolycra.com or something like that. And yeah, great fun. If you can get to it and it's something you're able to do, highly recommend it. Because that's something else I really am focusing on with my movement, as well as my physical health, just, yeah, making use of the fact I can move and that I can walk and run and, you know, really getting into it. So yes, the books that I've been listening to, we're coming back. The first one is called Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. And he is a journalist and he went down into Mexico and there's a group of people there, native people to the area, called the Tarahumara, and they are runners. They just run everywhere. Just that's what they do. And they're like the best runners in the world, essentially. Really interesting book because it was sort of part travel book, part, I suppose, exploring their culture, but obviously not told by them. It's being told by this journalist. So he was just, reporting what he's known about the culture and his interactions with the people. And then in this book, someone organises like an ultra marathon of some well-known runners from, I think they were all from North America, and then the Tarahumara. So really interesting, really well written, fascinating, just insane, the ultra marathon running. And one person in that who is one of the well-known runners from North America was a man named Scott Jurek. And he has written his own book called Eat and Run. So both of these happen to be in the $8.99 group, which was great on Audible. He's an ultra marathoner and he has run all around the world, like, crazy races that last 48 hours. He doesn't take that long, but that's the period of the race. And he's actually a vegan. So that was really interesting as well. He talks about how he is, top of his field, but doesn't eat any animal protein, how he feels it actually works better for him. So yeah, really interesting from both the running perspective, not that I have any interest in being an ultra marathoner, running for, over 24 hours, not for me. I'm interested in doing a half marathon, maybe, I'll see how I go. The running app, the zombie one, I think it's like a couch to 5K, so by the end of it we'll get up to being able to do 5K without stopping. So we'll see how I feel after that and then think about an ultra marathon. No. A half marathon. Or maybe just something smaller again in between, we'll see. But yes, so interesting from a running perspective, but also from the vegan food perspective, because I'm kind of vegan. I'm vegetarian, but then I also am dairy-free. So I'm dairy-free and gluten-free, and that's because my body just doesn't react very well to those things in terms of my digestion, but also my arthritis is during that period where I put on the weight and was really depressed. I was just eating whatever, which made me feel worse because, what we eat can affect our mind because our gut and our brain are connected, and our gut makes serotonin and other hormones. So, you know, comfort eating can make you feel worse. For me anyway, I'm not telling anyone else what to do. But yeah, it also made my arthritis worse, so then I was in more physical pain, so it was just a terrible cycle. So I'm back now to being healthful for myself. So yeah, I don't have dairy, I'm already not eating meat, so essentially I'll occasionally have eggs, but I'm really looking at that as well, because if I'm sort of pretty much vegan, then I might go the whole way, because the reason I became vegetarian in the first place was for the environmental impact, but also the animal impact. So while I buy pasture free range eggs, so that the hens are, you know, essentially fed grass or whatever they find, you know, there's still the environmental impact of that. So it's something I'm still, you know, working on. Don't eat that many eggs, but I still do sometimes. So, you know, again, this is all me. I'm not talking about anyone else's business, just what I'm doing, and how it was really interesting to hear an ultramarathoner talking about his vegan diet and how it's actually helped his performance. So that was really interesting. A couple more running books, and these two I loved, and just they spoke to me so much. The first one was Eat, Drink, Run by Bryony Gordon. She is a British journalist, and it turns out I'd kind of heard of her but didn't know it was her. Last year she interviewed Prince Harry about his own mental health struggles, and that features in the book. So she has written a previous book, I think called Mad or Crazy, where she talks about her OCD and her depression and her other mental health issues. So in this book, Eat, Drink, Run, she talks about how she's reporting on the charity Heads Together, which was sort of organised by Prince Harry, Prince William, and Duchess Catherine. Is she Duchess? I'm not sure of her title. But yeah, so she's in that, and then through that she jokingly says, oh, well, I'll run the marathon for the charity, and then has to. So it details her mental health story, her preparation for the marathon, running the marathon. So funny, literal laugh out loud parts. You could really hear where she was going to laugh as well. You could just hear it in her voice, and then they obviously edited it. Oh, great, really good. Tears as well, some really sad parts, and just, oh, you know, heart-wrenching, but so good. I highly recommend it, even if you're not interested in running. Even if you are, it's really good. And through that book, Audible brought me up another one. I don't think these two were in the $8.99, but I paid full price. A similar one is called Run Like a Girl, and that's by Alexandra Tinsley. She's also a British journalist, and I think she and Bryony Gordon do some work together now that they're both runners. So in this one, she also trains for a marathon. I think she does several within the book. And I had lots of really reflective and tearful moments. There's lots of funny parts in this one as well. Parts where, you know, she really needs to go to the toilet and can't find a toilet. It's only funny in the telling. It's not, the situation wouldn't be funny. But yeah, lots of moments. I actually, you know, sort of did some journaling about my thoughts about the book, just what it brought up in me in terms of people's support, family. There's one bit where she's running a marathon and her mum's standing on the sidelines and just cheering her, and you know, I got sad because I realised Yonder mum wouldn't be able to do that for me now that she's in a nursing home with her Alzheimer's, but that's okay. I can run for her, and I can run to show that I can still run. But again, and this one is called Run Like a Girl, because she talks a lot about female-specific things to do with running, such as sports bras and things like that. So, you know, it's using the term run like a girl is usually a negative, sexist, horrible phrase that people might use, and it's terrible if they still do in a negative context. She uses it to show that she was empowered and, you know, how good she was. And again, really good, really funny. I really recommend both of those. And I think she's written one called Leap In or something, and I think she has ended up now doing long distance swimming. So maybe I'll like swimming if I listen to that. I'll see. I would like to do more swimming, but it's just not very convenient to get to a pool, and I'm not close enough to the beach to go there regularly. When I say not close enough, I'm 20-25 minutes away from the beach. It's close compared to some people, don't get me wrong. But again, it's fitting things into life. So yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know if I do listen to Leave In. Yeah, I can't recommend those books enough. They've just been great. So another thing, you know, I like to talk about my health here because I like to normalise mental health issues. You know, I have my rheumatoid arthritis. So I think it's good to normalise these things, especially as a woman. I think, you know, get things out there, let people know they're not alone. Because the appointment I have this morning is for a mammogram. I'm going to check the girls. So I turned 40 this year. And I always thought from the age of 50 in in Australia, you could get free mammograms. But I found out you can get them at any age. And so I decided to go now because YarnderWoman actually has a prosthetic left breast. She had a mastectomy for pre-breast cancer. Thankfully, it wasn't cancer. And that was about 15 years ago now. But when she was 40, she actually had a hysterectomy for pre-cancer ovarian cancer cyst, so pre-cancer cyst in her ovaries. So, you know, while I have a positive mindset and I think we need to use our brains to really keep positive and not bring about self-fulfilling negative prophecies, I'd also like to just, you know, make use of the fantastic medical facilities that are available here in Australia that I'm very lucky to be able to access, and do, you know, proactive checks, I think, on my body, given that there is a possibility of family, you know, genetics, possibility of issues due to genetics. Again, I'm being positive and I'm not saying that I have anything, but I'm making use of the facilities. So today I'm going to have a squish. And I mentioned that just because, you know, I think it's important to think about. It's important that we look after ourselves. I know lovely Nikki of the TM Possibilities podcast. She recently spoke about her own women's health issue. I won't go into that. That's Nikki's business. She tells her own story in her podcast. But she speaks about how it really is important to know what your normal is, so that then if there's a change to your normal, you can get onto it. So there's someone on Instagram, and I've just gone blank. It might be Danny Simone, and I'm so sorry if that's not correct, but Danny, the person, is a survivor of breast cancer, and so on the 1st of every month she has a photo of herself touching the girls, reminding everyone to do a self-check. So I too will ask you to make that part of your routine. Maybe before you get in the shower, just, you know, give yourself a check, and that way you know what your normal is, because our normal is different for all of us. So know what your normal is, be proactive, and you know, go and get things looked at if it's not normal. So yes, health message from Melinda. And you don't be embarrassed. I think it's tricky. You know, mammograms are not so common, but, you know, pap smears or smear tests, they're called different things. You know, make sure that you're up to date with those as well. Get the lady garden checked. And of course, any men, get yourselves checked in your relevant areas as well. And any part of our bodies, you know what your normal is. But I think, you know, when it comes to women's health or men's health, sometimes we can get embarrassed or just go, oh, it's fine, oh, I don't want to do that, you know. Make sure you do it. Find a good doctor. You know, hopefully you have access to a good doctor that you can get to. If it's a cost thing, try and see if there's any free avenues that you can utilize. You know, sort of not for profit health places if your normal doctor's is not within your not within your price range. I said, very lucky in Australia. Not all general doctors bulk bill, but the one that's near me does, which means I don't pay anything when I go for a checkup. And then I do for a specialist, but, you know, some of it's covered as well. So I am very lucky because I do need a couple of specialists. But yes, public health moment over. Please do check yourself and get to know your normal. Hello, just jumping in because I am now at work and I was just thinking about what I was recording and I referred to checking your breasts as checking your girls. I don't want to be excluding of anyone because some women or people who identify however they identify may not think of their breasts as girls. So I'm sorry if that offended anyone or excluded them. And of course men can get breast cancer, or people who identify as no gender. Essentially, check your breasts for lumps, anything that's not your normal. So back to the other version of Melinda. And as well as having, you know, possible genetic links, or that being a reason to get checked, I also seem to be going through early menopause. So yay! So yes, I'm 40. Menopause, I think I looked up online, usually starts for women at about 51, 54. So yes, quite early, but it is what it is. I'll have another blood test in a few months to just sort of see, you know, confirm or, you know, deny. So yeah, lots of fun there. It's okay, it is what it is. But yes, yet another reason I am going to focus more on my health, you know, make use of the wonderful opportunities I have to be able to buy fresh food, eat healthfully, make good food choices. I have the opportunity, I should do it. Look after myself because it seems my body is changing. My internals are changing. But it's sort of, you know, as like, okay, whatever. As it is, it makes sense now because as well as, you know, the depression and anxiety I get, my anxiety has been going off the charts lately. I haven't been sleeping well, you know, all sorts of fun. Turns out a lot of that can happen with hormonal changes. So yeah, it makes sense. All the puzzle pieces are coming together. So it's nice in that respect to sort of go, oh, that's why, okay, cool. Now that I know, we can try and manage it from there. So I'll let you know. This again is about knowing what your normal is. This is Smudge. Hello, darling. I've just woken him up, so he might not be quite sure what's happening and used to the fame yet. So Smudge is a quarter Pomeranian, quarter Chihuahua, and a half mystery, because he was a rescue puppy. So we don't know his full heritage. Oh, darling. Sorry, his little tail. He's a very good boy, other than he's still a bit nippy when he gets a bit excited. And he's still learning his litter tray, but other than that, he's a gorgeous darling. And he's been a very, very welcome member to our family. He's helped us all a lot. Animals are wonderful, aren't they? There you go, darling. All right, I'll put you back, darling. So that was Smudge. He's our darling little baby. He really, he's captured all our hearts. Yeah, we're all just smitten. You would have seen on Instagram, #YarnderDog. He's there. And you would have seen lots of photos of him on Instagram, and quite often when I do my Brooching the Subject photos, he will be in the shot with me. It's all about the dogs around here lately, and it's wonderful. Except, as I mentioned, the litter tray issue. We've actually had to throw away the rug in the family room because it got claimed, shall we say. It's okay, he's so cute, we love him. Thank you very much, everyone. This is a long episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It was so nice to catch up with you again. I'm glad I could introduce you to Yonder Dog Smudge as well. Oh, and thank you very much to Emma, who is Gamer Widow on Instagram, who actually came up with the suggestion of Smudge as a name. It was a good one. Yonder 10 liked it. So yes, thank you very much for joining me. Please come and enter the prize thread or the knit along if you're interested, or if you're able to. Comment in the Ravelry thread or down below on YouTube. As I've mentioned before, I can't always access YouTube comments easily, but I will read them. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. I'm so happy you spent this time with me. Do your health check. I'm going to go and have my mammogram. Mammogram. anagram. It's a funny word, isn't it? Anyway, have a lovely day. I hope you've got something yummy in the fridge. Enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your projects. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.